Hello, hello, hello. How are you guys doing this evening? Well, it has been a fantastic day. It's been a really great day. And it is about 10 till 7. Alex just got home and fed little dog. And I was uploading some videos because I filmed a drama video, a Peterisms video, and a review video. And now I'm vlogging. And when I get done vlogging, we are going to watch The Real Housewives of Atlanta. And then I'm going to watch the last 2 episodes of the show that I started last night. Because I started the show called Echoes on Netflix. I think it just came out. And I was telling Alex, it's like whenever I get into a show, like I'm really into it. But like starting a show, I always have a hard time like on the first episode. So I started watching the show last night. Well, actually, I had talked to Caroline about it, and she's like, oh my god, I started watching that show too. And I was like, well, what did you think? And she's like, well, I'm only like into the first episode or something, I think she said. I can't remember. She wasn't very far into it, and she's like, I don't really know what I think yet. But then I talked to Tanya last night, and Tanya was like, Eric and I binge watched the show in like one sitting. So she was like, it is really, really good. And so I started watching it, and I was watching like the first episode, and I was kind of very confused as to what was going on. This show gets so crazy weird, you guys. Like, it's a thriller. And I was just like, the writing of this show is just like incredible. But it's not like one of those shows that you can like have on in the background. Like, you have to pay attention to the show. Like, or maybe Caroline just said she was going to watch the show. Because I was going to tell her, this is not a show that you can have on in the background, like, because sometimes, like, she'll clean and whatever, like, while she's watching something, just like Tanya does. Like, this is a show you have to watch and sit and pay attention to, because so much happens in it. But anyway, so I started watching that show last night, and I honestly was just going to watch, like, 1 or 2 episodes of it, and there's 7 episodes total, and I ended up watching the first 5 episodes. That's how good it was. I like binge watched the first 5 episodes and could have stayed up and watched the whole thing, but it was getting late. I will say this though, like I laid in bed then for another like 2.5 hours and just tossed and turned and tossed and turned and tossed and turned. And it's so weird. It's like no matter if I go to bed early or if I go to bed late, like, I just toss and turn all night long. Like, I don't know what the problem is. And, I mean, I've always been somebody that I don't fall asleep, like, super quick. Like, that's always been, like, an issue for me, you know? But recently, it's been a lot worse than usual. I used to drink that sleepy time tea, but sometimes it does the opposite effect on me. Sometimes it like makes me even more alert, and it just has like chamomile and stuff in it, you know. But I think I have some inside, so I think tonight I might try some of the sleepy time tea. But yeah, I tossed and turned and tossed and turned, and so finally I was like, put my robe on, and I went downstairs, and I was like, I'm gonna eat some snacks. Yesterday when I got done vlogging, Alex took me to the grocery store again because I wanted some snacks. And he wanted some snacks, so he got some like frozen pizzas and stuff like that. And I got a bunch of snacks and chips and dip and some frozen burritos and frozen pizzas and pizza rolls and stuff and chips and dip and those pretzels that have peanut butter in them. So I got up and I watched these like drag pageant things on that Kalani Productions, that channel that I love. He posts like 5 to 10 videos a day, so there's always like new videos to watch. I actually was just like looking through it, and there's like a new video that I want to watch on there tonight. They're real short. They're like, some of them are like 2-3 minute clips, like crownings at certain pageants. Some of them are longer, like an hour or 2 hours long. But I love that channel. So I sat there and I watched the opening production of like Miss Gay USA of A 2005 or something like that. It was like with Sweet Savage. Unless you know stuff about drag, you wouldn't know who these people are. But it was like with Sweet Savage, Tommy Ross, who is like one of my favorite drag queens of life. Cezanne, who I love. Coco. Who else was in it? And Coco did this whole thing to, it was she was like, she had won the prior year, and she did this whole like dance routine to Janet Jackson's If, and it was like incredible. And I remember when that song came out, like a lot of drag queens, female impersonators, like did that song If. I love that song. So do you guys like that song by Janet Jackson? I love Janet Jackson anyway. I love all of her music. That's the Way Love Goes is probably my favorite Janet Jackson song of life. But anyway, and then I went upstairs, and I must have fallen asleep at some point. So when I toss and I turn, the thing is, like, if I roll, like, I face that way, and then on my back, and then to the side, and then on my stomach, and then I go around again. And, like, each time I move, Boo Radley moves, too, because, like, he wants to be right close next to me or in between our heads. And so, like, every time I move, it's, like, this whole organized, like, theatrics with me and Boo Radley moving, like, in sync in bed. So, anyway, I finally fell asleep at some point. And then Alex woke me up at, like, 20 after 9 when he was leaving to kiss me goodbye and say goodnight, or to say goodbye. And then I slept for a couple more hours, and then I got up. And then I sat out here and I talked to my neighbors. I talked to my neighbors twice today. The neighbor across the street, my neighbor next door, she was like, she restores, like, furniture that she finds from thrift stores and stuff. So she was in the driveway and she was painting, and I was talking to her, and then my neighbor across the street was talking to her. And we were actually talking about writing thank you notes. Well, I was going to check the mail, and my neighbor across the street, I said something about always just getting junk mail. And she said, do you miss getting postcards and letters? And I said, I miss the days of postcards and letters. Nobody sends postcards and letters anymore. And, I mean, to my post office box, I get postcards and letters, you know. But, I'm not. So anyway, and she was like, well, I'm going to send you a postcard. And my neighbor next door was like, I'm going to send you a postcard, too, the next time I go out of town. And she was like, yeah, when you go out of town next, you need to send him a postcard. And so they were laughing. And, so anyway, we were just talking and stuff. And then I made a drama video. And then I made a Peterisms video. And then I did a review video, which I just realized I reviewed this Munch Pack subscription box that somebody sent me. I don't know if somebody ordered it for me or if the company sent it to me, but it was sent to my post office box. So I was like, well, I might as well review this. And it's like a monthly subscription box of like food from like snacks from around the world. But in the entire video, I called it the Munch Box, and it's called the Munch Pack. Only I would make such a mistake like that. But anyway, so that was fun. And then Alex called, and he was on his way home. So I was like, okay, so I started uploading videos, and then he got home and fed little dog while I was uploading videos and stuff. And then I was like, I'm going to vlog, and then when I get done vlogging, we are going to figure out dinner and then watch The Real Housewives of Atlanta. I'm kind of like craving, I think that's my neighbor coming home right now. I think I just saw her convertible out of the corner of my eye. I can see yep, it's her. I can see in the garage going up. I'm kind of craving those frozen burritos. I know those probably don't sound good to anybody else but me. They're like those 99-cent frozen burritos. Do you guys know the ones I'm talking about? I got the bean and cheese ones, but they have like beef and cheese, chicken and beef, or whatever. They have a bunch of different kinds. They've been around forever. I love those cheap burritos. And I got Totino's pizzas, 2 extra cheese Totino's pizzas, the square ones. And then I could make a Totino's pizza and then 2 of those burritos, and that would be my dinner. Can you imagine? That is like a really healthy dinner. And some of those pretzels with peanut butter inside of them for dessert. Oh my God, and a Coke. Or my Orangina that I reviewed in my Munch Pack that I called Munch Box. Yeah, I don't know what I'm going to have. And then, what else? Caroline and I were supposed to maybe hang out tomorrow for just a little bit. So I texted her to see, well, I called her and she didn't answer, so I texted her to see if she could still do tomorrow. If she can't, it's no big deal. I don't really have many errands to run. And then, one night this week, we're supposed to go to Topgolf with Fufu and Alex's mom, because Fufu really wants to go to Topgolf. So I don't know what night we're going to do that. And then Alex is taking our anniversary off. So I probably won't, well, I won't film any videos that day. We're just going to go to brunch and then maybe go to the pool and then go somewhere for dinner that night. I don't know where we're going to go to dinner. I don't have any idea. Somewhere fun, somewhere romantical. I don't know why I feel like I'm hearing the mail come when, bugs everywhere, when the mail's already come today. It was funny, my neighbor across the street was actually asking me, she was like, have you read any good cozies lately? And I said, no. I said, I'm really having a hard time reading anyway. I was telling her about like being distracted and just really struggling reading. And she was like, the series that I really liked that took place in Brown County that she had told me about, that was called, the author's Maddie Day. She said she read she started one of her series that takes place in Cape Cod, but she said she didn't like it as well as the one that takes place in Brown County. So I guess I won't read that one. But yeah, I'm having a hard time getting into anything and just listening to an audiobook or even just reading, period. Even just like that manga, that Fangirl, like I started it and then I just was kind of like, I think with the reading thing, I think once I start, I'll be like back into the groove again and I just got to figure it out. I think that's the thing. I miss it. I really, really miss it, you know? I find that I really miss it, especially when I'm talking to other people about books. And, you know, Tanya, she still reads just as much as she did before, and a lot of my other friends read. And so when I'm talking to them, which is funny because like back in the day I didn't have that many friends that read and it was just Tanya that read, but now several of my friends read. My friend Erin reads a lot, and a couple of my other friends read, and so, like my recovery friends. And so when I'm talking to them, like my one really good friend, she reads like all the time, and she reads like thrillers, and so she's always recommending books to me and stuff like that. But now that you know, like when I'm talking to them, that I have since I have friends that read now, it's hard because I miss it. And then they're like, oh, I was reading this really great book, and or I just finished this really great book, and then I'm like, I want to read, but then like I'm lacking the motivation to sit down. It's like really hard for me to get like focused and just like read something. I don't know, but I will tell you, it's real easy for me to watch a TV show. It's real easy for me just to sit here and be like, I mean, I watched 5 hours of this show last night. I had the hiccups. Called Echoes. I mean, it was so good. I can't believe, I was like, this is going to take me all week to finish, because it was like, I thought it was 8 or 10 episodes, but it's only 7 episodes. It's going to be interesting to see how it ends. Like, this is one of those shows. Well, first of all, like, where it goes, like, in the show, like, I never expected. Like, the 5th episode is the best episode, by far, so far. It's a really good show. I feel like every show that I watch anymore, I'm always like, oh, it's a really good show. Like 5 Days of Memorial, I find like I'm telling everybody that. You know, it's interesting because somebody said to me the other day, like, what do you think is like the best show that you've watched all year? And it's like, it's either like, I wouldn't necessarily say like the best shows. Oh, I said Bridgerton is what I said. I can't remember who I was talking to when I said it, because they had watched it and they were like, oh, it was Caroline, I think. Because she was like, seriously? But I loved Bridgerton. The thing is that, oh, and I guess that show last night that Alex was watching, that House of Dragons or whatever, didn't start until 9 o'clock. I thought it had started already, and he was watching it, and it was like the whole series was out. I didn't realize it was just one episode. And so when I got done vlogging, I was like uploading my vlog. After we got back from the grocery store, he was like, he had heated up a pizza, And so he was watching the show. So I sat on the couch and watched like half of that show. It's beautifully shot, but I just had no clue what was going on. I didn't know about the dragons or the people, and I was so confused by the show. I don't really love that kind of stuff. Like he loves the two things that Alex and I do not like enjoy together is he loves any of like the superhero stuff, like the Marvel comics and the DC. He loves all that stuff, right? And he also loves like the epic, like Game of Thrones, he loves that kind of stuff. I don't love that either. But I was thinking about this the other day, like telling somebody, and I was like, what's a show like recently that I keep on thinking like, I wish there was another show like that? And this is going to sound so cheesy, corny, and I think part of it is that I had been watching such like dark shows and like really kind of like sad shows up to that point, and then I watched that Netflix show called Boo Bitch, and it was so just lighthearted and stupid, and I really liked it. And it was like, I watched it in like 2 days, you know? And I really liked that show. I mean, it's corny. It's like, I wouldn't even give it probably a 4 out of 5. I mean, it's the acting is bad, and it's just, I mean, it like steals every trope from young adult TV shows, movies, and writing books, if there ever has been. But like, I mean, it's very like, they tried to be like the next Mean Girls, but there was something just lighthearted and silly about it that I liked, you know? And I kind of find myself kind of enjoying some of those shows sometimes that are kind of lighthearted and stupid. I think I might start Virgin River. I was going to try to read the first book first, but I don't know that I'm going to do that. I think I might start watching that show or Ozark next. There was another show that somebody else recommended me. Maybe it's called You Don't Know Me or something like that. It's like, it looks like a documentary on Netflix. They tweeted me last night and they said, when you finish Echoes, watch You Don't Know Me or something like that. So I might watch that next. I was actually looking through the Netflix stuff to see like all the new shows that are coming out, and there's not really a whole lot coming out that I want to see. There's like maybe 1 or 2 things, and I don't even remember what they are now. I actually was Google searching to see if there's going to be a Making a Murderer 3, which apparently there could be, but it's not in the works yet. And like, whatever happened with that case and that Kathleen Zellner that was like, Brendan Dassey couldn't have done it. The thing about true crime is like, when you watch a really good true crime show, and you really love watching true crime and getting into the story, because it's not just about the story of what the crime, it's the story of the people that the behind the scenes, like, you know, and like the story of the victims and the survivors. Like, that is so interesting to me when they do it in a really honorable way, that when you watch one that's done really well, or you read a book that's done really well, then you just want to read and watch more and more and more, right? But then it kind of becomes a point where it's like, it becomes very sad, and you're just kind of seeing things constantly through the lens of that. And so it's like, I have to kind of like balance it out and watch different stuff. Like, I love this show 5 Days at Memorial. That's about Hurricane Katrina and the hospital and stuff. But like, I couldn't watch like a constant dose of that kind of show on a regular basis. Like, it's too much. Like, it's very sad. And like, I feel sad when I'm done watching each episode of it. I think it would be like a hard show to binge watch, like 8 episodes or 10 episodes in a row, because like each episode is like so draining. I mean, the actors in the show are so fantastic that they do a really good job of like, I mean, you feel drained even just watching the show, you know? So I don't know. Today would have been a good day for a swim. I just kind of didn't get all of my stuff together to go up. I think my neighbor across the street went up to my neighbor in the corner. I think she may have gone to the pool. But it would have been a good day. Maybe if Caroline and I hang out tomorrow, we'll go to the pool for a little bit. I actually, when I woke up today, I was like, I'm not going to film any videos. I'm just going to like do my vlog, and that's going to be it. And then I like sat down and I was like looking at I sat down, as soon as I sat down at my computer, and because I had made my list for yesterday and I had all my videos on my list and stuff, and I was like, oh, well, I'll just do a drama video. And then I got my drama video done. I was like, well, I already have my camera set up. I might as well do a Peterisms video because I liked the meditations that I had looked to see what they were for today. And then one was about staying in today, and the other one was about like healing through resentment, which I think is just such a great thing to talk about. I don't think you can ever talk too much about healing through resentment, you know? And like I've sat in enough meetings and talked to enough people that it's always interesting to me when people say like, well, I don't really have any resentments. And I'm like, really? Like, you don't have any resentments? You don't have any anger towards like how you feel like something in your world or your life should have like worked out differently, or, you know, it doesn't have to be like, and this is the thing sometimes I think is that people think that it has to be justified, right? Like, if it's not fair, like if it, you like, oh, I'm trying to think of a good example of this, but that you should, you know, like, I mean, I think it's always like the aim is to always be grateful for what you have and to work through things through the action of gratitude, which I believe is an action, right? But the reality is to also acknowledge resentment in your life and to say, although I'm extremely grateful for what I have and I'm extremely grateful for my circumstances, like, I am resentful about this or I am resentful about that. And the only way through to the truth of removing that resentment or that grudge from your life of something that may have happened to you when you were 5 or 15 or 25 or 45 or, you know, whatever, is to take a look at it and say, this is what happened. This is how it affected me. Why am I holding on to it? Do I have a part in it? Is there something that I can do? Can I let go of it even? Is that, like, can I let go of it in some ways? And I'm not talking about serious resentments. I mean, I think on, like, really serious situations, I think that's where, you know, to seek therapy or counseling or whatever. But I think I have, you know, met people and I have known people, close friends of mine, that have been just filled with resentment. And I'm not, like, and justifiable anger. I mean, when we talk about resentment, sometimes we forget to talk about justifiable anger. Justifiable anger is when you have a lot of anger about situations that happened to you or things that people did to you that you absolutely 100% should be justified in feeling the way that you do. You know, it's not like when people say, like, stop being angry about this or are you going to ever get over this? This is like, these are situations that, no, you should be angry about this. You have a right to be angry about this, right? But then the question has been to me in the past by people, but at what point is holding on to it not serving you any great, I mean, it's not helping you, right? Like, by holding on to it. So what do you do with that? What do you do with even that justifiable anger? That, you know, if you had the life that I have, or if you had gone through what I went through, or if what happened to you happened, if what happened to me happened to you, or, you know, if you saw life through my eyes, then you would see things differently. And, you know, it's like, you know, there's a saying in recovery that it's like, if you had my life, you'd drink too. And it's kind of like that. It's like, I think once you realize that we're all in control of our own lives, and that means our responses to the world, you know, then and that's hard. Like, that's really hard, you know, and realizing that it's not so much about what other people say or do or respond or react or fix, how they fix our problems or whatever, you know. But it's really about us sometimes standing in the way of our own happiness. I have so many times in my life stood in the way of my own happiness, you know? My friend Valerie, this was like 2 years ago or something. I can't even remember the context of what she said it, and I don't even remember what we were talking about, but I do remember what she said. And she said, you're not getting any younger, you know? She said, what are you waiting for? She was like, enjoy your life. Like you're not, like, what are you doing? Like, you gonna wait till you're 70 and if you're even here, you know? And I was just like, and that like hit me like a ton of bricks. I was like, she's absolutely right, you know? And that goes to the other part of what the meditations were about today, and that was living in the present. Another thing that I've really struggled with in my life at times, you know, it's like I was saying in my video that, you know, like the old saying of like, if you have one foot in yesterday and one foot in tomorrow, you poop all over today. And I think, you know, it's like I have pooped all over a lot of days, you know, a lot of days. This was something that, like I said, if you guys remember, like I said this like a year ago, hey, no swim tonight?
No swim tonight.
Why not?
She's whining, so.
I heard your grandma's thing went really well for the Special Olympics.
Oh, yeah, at the pool party?
Yeah, did you go?
No, I didn't even know about it. She told me about it the next day.
Well, that's awesome. I saw the thing on about it.
She does it like yearly.
Yeah, I know. My mom would talk about it back in the day.
Yeah. Have a good night.
You too. Her grandma that lives in our neighborhood, she's 92. They put out this whole thing about it. And, I mean, so my mom moved in here when I was in treatment, my mom moved in here. So that was the December of 1994. And that year, she was doing it. So for at least 27 years, every year, she's really, really involved with Special Olympics, her grandma. And so she hosts, like, this pool party at our pool every year. And they were saying that it was, like, at 92, she hosted, like, the biggest party she's ever had this year. And it's, like, some awards banquet or something that they do here. Isn't that so cool? I love that she does that. So, what was I saying about living in today? Oh, I said this on my vlogs. Probably like, I don't often allow stuff to like get to me, but I said this in my vlog like a year ago. I said it a couple times like over the course of like a week or two because it was like this new thought that I had, right? You know? And what I was saying was, you know, the really awesome days were like, oh my God, today was such an awesome day. And the really crap days were like, God, today just sucked. Like, I hated today. But the majority of our days that are just like 4, 5s, and 6s where we're content. Do you guys remember me talking about this? The majority of the days that are just like 4, 5s, and 6s, we don't acknowledge as being just 4, 5s, and 6s. We don't acknowledge as being these days that are just fantastic, you know, and just pleasurable and content. That the days where we're content, that was the word that I used back then. And so I kept on saying this in videos, and I was like, I just feel so content. I'm just so happy. And it was kind of like this moment, this like, I don't know, this like spiritual awakening that I had of like being like, oh my God, like, I've been looking at the world in a completely different way. I've been looking for 9s and 10s on great days, and I've been acknowledging the 1s and 2s on horrible days, but I don't really acknowledge the 4, 5s, and 6s that are just the average days that are pretty good, you know? And so I said that in my video, and I said it several times. Well, I got a couple comments from a couple different people, and they're like, we get it. You're content. You're happy being content. We get it. So then I didn't say it anymore because I was like, oh, well, I don't need to say that anymore. But no, I do. And I forget that sometimes, though. You know, I forget that. Like, last week, and I think people noticed it in my video, and I really talked to my therapist a lot about it. I was really struggling last week. And I was just waking up, and I just wasn't motivated. And I just was going through it, you know? The way that I get through stuff is by talking about it, you know, and the way that I get through things is by sharing my experience, strength, and hope with other people, and having other people share things with me, or having people say, like, you know, have you tried this, or doing that, or whatever, or just being heard. Like, sometimes for me, just being heard is so important. That's why I say, like, this vlog is like a living diary for me. Like, even if nobody ever watched it, it's so cathartic because it's just like I'm talking about things, right? Like, I'm talking about things that happened in my day, or I'm kind of processing it or whatever. So I guess in some weirdly indirect kind of way, I'm talking to myself, like looking at the camera. But you know, the other night, like somebody asked me to do a video on my Peter Does Stuff channel talking about my social anxiety, and I'm going to do this video. I've done a bunch of videos about that already, but talk about my social anxiety going around like groups of people. So when I'm like, for some reason, when I'm with my husband, I really don't struggle with it as badly. Even if I'm in groups of huge people, like I kind of like phase them out. Like I just kind of don't even pay attention to them, and I'm just kind of like one-on-one with him. But like when I'm with people that I know really, really well, like friends or family, like if I'm just in that group, like I don't really struggle with it that much. It's when I'm going into groups of people that I don't know where I have a hard time. Okay, it stopped. And I'm going to talk about that in the video that I do, but the reason why I brought it up was because that hot air balloon festival was so fun for me just to do something different. Like, and if you haven't watched the video, I put a whole video up on my Peter Does Stuff channel, but it was so fun for me just to get out and do something different, you know, and it's just like, the weather's been nice. I've been more active on YouTube. I've been posting more. And I've also allowed myself not to post more if I don't want to. Like, I think like I finally got over that hurdle where it's like, if I want to post, I'm going to post. And if I don't want to post, like I almost feel like I had to talk about it in videos to get to the point where I was like, okay, like you really truly do feel that way, right? And like now I'm at the point where it's like, if I wake up and I don't really feel like I want to post any videos, I'm not going to post, and I'm not going to feel bad about it. And like I've accepted that, and I feel that way. Whereas before I was really struggling with that. And like Sunday we went to brunch, and then we got a bunch of stuff, you know, going on. And it was like Sunday night. Well, that would have been last night, right? Last night I was like sitting here, and I was like, I feel really good. Like I feel really happy, you know, like this. Yesterday and today would be like 7-8 days, right? For me, 7-8 days. Not like I wouldn't say they were 9 or 10s, but they were 7 or 8 days. They were above feeling content. I felt happy. I felt productive. I felt rested. I felt, even though I didn't sleep very well last night, I still felt rested when I got up, and just jovial, and got to talk to people, and I feel good, you know? And what I also realize is, it is the bitter and the sweet, like I say, you know? It's like, not every day is going to be great, you know? It's like, it's just not every day is going to be sunshine and unicorns. It's just not. And, you know, I used to get questions a lot, like on my Peterisms videos and stuff. People would say, like, how are you always so positive? How are you always, like, so happy and whatever? And I would say, like, the truth is, like, I'm not all the time, you know? Like, some days it is a lot of work for me. And I have this toolbox of tools, you know, that I work through to get to the point where I feel happy, or I feel positive, or my perspective has changed, right? And while that's true, like, my dad is somebody that pretty much always, like, in my life has, and Alex is very much like this too. Like, I came upstairs the other night, and I was like, it is so hot up here. And he was like, way to be negative. Like, I was like, that is not negative. That is just, like, a comment on the heat in this bedroom, right? And so, but, like, my dad is, like, the same way. Like, he and Alex are both, like, they see everything through, like, 9s and 10s, right? Like, they see everything through, like, the lens of, like, happiness and possibility, right? So when you live around that, it's hard to be super negative. I will say that I'm a lot more like my dad. My mom was somebody that she could be very negative, like very, very negative, pessimistic and all that, you know. She was a glass half empty person much of her life. And I think it was a lot of the mental illness stuff that she struggled with, but I also just think it was like how she was raised and whatnot. I would say, even though I have this toolbox that I use to get, you know, whatever, like I never really wake up and have days where I'm just really negative or upset, or I've had days where I'm sad, you know. I have days where I like wake up and something makes me sad, like finding out that my sponsor passed away. Sure, I'm gonna, you know, have sad response to that, or just, you know, be in memories, talking to people on the phone or whatever, you know, and I'm gonna be sad about that. That's different, you know. And there are days that I wake up where I just like something just, I don't know, I'm not feeling it, and I'm just sad, right? But I would say back in the day when people asked me that, by and large, most days I did wake up pretty positive, you know? Most days I still do wake up pretty positive. And I think that is really doing active gratitude lists, living in meditation. For me, prayer. I know that's not for everybody, but for me it is, you know? And just really living in gratitude a lot. It has been so helpful for me. You know, it's like, I remember years ago watching that Oprah Winfrey, when she had that woman on that wrote that book, Simple Abundance. And Oprah was talking about doing daily meditation lists. And she started crying, and she's like, it's changed my life. You know, like, when you look and are grateful for what you have, not constantly looking at what you don't have, or what you've lost, or whatever, right? But you look at what you have in your life and you're grateful for that, it completely changes the perspective of your life, you know? And there have been times that gratitude has really, really gotten me out of some, like, hard places in my life. But, like, you know, and so that's just one of the tools that I have. I think back in the day when people would ask me that, you're so positive, you're so happy all the time and whatever. I also know this. I know that, like, this is something that I've learned over time, is like with anger or resentment, since I was talking about that I have ways to process that and deal with that today, right? Like, I call my sponsor and I talk to her about things that, like, are upsetting me or whatever, and she helps me see through to the truth, right? Like, she always says, like, let's stay in the truth, not stay in the lie. Because sometimes I want to stay in the lie. Sometimes I want to, and by that, what I mean is, sometimes I want to be angry about things and see things from a point of view that, like, aren't very realistic or aren't the truth, right? And so she'll say, but you're not looking at this in a very realistic manner, so let's get out of the lie. Let's stay in the truth and let's get out of the lie. And so that really helps me. I don't find that ranting and raving and going off, which I have done my fair share of times, okay? Not proud of at all. I've done my fair share of that. I don't really feel like anything ever comes from that. You know, in the long run, I think, A, I feel like I'm embarrassed because I've shown my ASS. B, it doesn't resolve the feeling. It either pushes it down or makes me angrier. And C, it's like I haven't really taken a look at what I was really angry or resentful about to begin with. So nothing has come from it whatsoever, except for that I've just blown off steam. Now, do I think that it's good to blow off steam every once in a while? You know, like when people say, like, get a punching bag in the garage and, like, when you're angry or whatever, sure, I think that's great, right? But if all you're doing is punching a punching bag and blowing off steam, then you're just like, it's just like anger out, anger out, anger out. You're never looking at what that anger is about inside, or what that resentment is about inside, or why it continues to come up to the point that you need to punch the hell out of this, you know, what do you call it? This punching bag. I couldn't remember what I was saying. So it's like, at some point, maybe take a look at the anger or the resentment and say, but why do I feel this way? You know, what's at the core of this? Because I was taught that anger is a secondary emotion. You know, my sponsors used to say that to me. My therapist would say that to me, that anger is a secondary emotion. It's covering up something. What's really going on there? What are you really feeling? Is it pain? Is it hurt? Is it embarrassment? Is it pride? Is it ego? You know, what's really going on there? You know, is it grief? I mean, grief can come across in the form of anger a lot, you know, and resentment. And I think sometimes we get angry at the people that left us, which is, it sounds crazy, but it's normal. Sometimes we get angry at God. You know, I can remember getting really angry at God and being like, throwing my hands up and being like, God, I don't get this. Like, you took the person that was the closest to me in my entire life. Why? Like, why? Like, this makes no sense to me. Well, I still don't know. I still don't have an answer, you know? But I also know that I don't want to live in anger about that for the rest of my life. I want to enjoy my life. I want to, you know. So that's the work that I have to do, you know. And thank you guys for letting me talk about feeling stuck last week. I got some comments and people were like, okay, I can, you know, tell that Peter, you know, you're feeling stuck and whatever. And I'm laughing because I'm like, oh, well, it must have been more obvious than I thought. But like I was feeling stuck. And now I feel like I can exhale again, like I can breathe again, and it feels good, you know. And I think also progress is like, it's like this upward, it's like, you know, 2 steps forward, 1 step back, 2 steps forward, 1 step back. And so it's like, I don't know. I love the sounds of early fall and late summer. The sun is like cascading. I have to show you guys. The sun is like cascading like over there. Isn't that so pretty? It's my view. Oh my Lord. He was riding his bike as a kid, riding his bike on one wheel all the way up, doing a wheelie. All I know is that today was a good day, and I'm happy, and I want you guys to be happy and blessed. So I'm going to get off here now and get this vlog uploaded. I was so funny because yesterday I thought it would take hours and hours and hours to get uploaded. And it didn't. It was like ready by like 10 o'clock or something. So let's, fingers crossed, let's hope the same thing goes on. Fingers crossed. I hope the same thing happens tonight. And let's see. I hope that you guys are having a magically amazing Monday beginning to your week. If nobody else has told you this today, I love you. And remember these 3 very important things. 1, that's going to be my thumbnail right there. 1, yeah, I can't remember. 1, start your day over whenever you want. 2, practice random acts of kindness, but don't tell anyone. Shh. Do it because it's just the right thing, the good thing to do. And 3, practice, no, that was number 2. And 3, and most importantly, reach out to somebody and let them know how much they mean to you. And, yeah, let them know how much they mean to you, because, I don't know, you might be changing somebody's day. You might be, maybe they've been sitting alone all day long, and all of a sudden they hear from you, and it changes their day, and they feel better. So, all right, I'm going to get off here now. Thank you guys for joining me on the front porch. This was fun. I love to just, like, spin and rock back and forth in my chair. Well, it's not really a rocker, it's a glider, but I love this chair so much. Wasn't it nice of my husband to put this together for me last year? So anyway, I love you guys, and I will see you tomorrow, same time, same place, hopefully. And until then, be kind to one another and love one another, and most importantly, love yourself. I love you guys. That was new. Did you like that? I love you guys, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye. Love you. Oh, and for those that need to hear it, and those that want to hear it, and those that just happen to stick around, one more, I love you. I love you guys, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye. Love you. Oh, happy birthday, Lena.